Ha! What it do, Busters? The bug catcher is here today. No longer smoking trees, still catching butterfrees, baby. So, I've noticed something interesting, right? The bug catcher has noticed quite the phenomena, if you would. Beast of Reincarnation, developed, made, whatever, created by Gamefreak, creators of Pokemon or whatever. You know, they develop the games. Y'all get what I'm saying, Busters. I'm noticing a lot of people who are Pokemon, quote unquote, fanboys are liking this game and reviewing it highly. I'm also noticing that people who have no association with Pokemon are reviewing this game as mid at best, or, you know, mid at best. And I just find that very interesting. So I'm just going to use two reviews that I just watched in my head. I'm not going to leave no sources. I'm going to tell you what these guys said, right? So, one Pokemon guy I was watching, Game Freak is held back by Nintendo. Game Freak is held back by the Pokemon Company. Look at what they can do. This is what I was hearing earlier. Look at what Game Freak can do when the shackles are off, Busters. Look at what they can do when they have free range to do whatever it is they want to do. On the flip side, from a review, and I've heard multiple reviews, from a reviewer who, as far as I could tell, no association with Pokemon at all. Stellar Blade copy and paste. The lead character looks, Emma looks like, I don't remember, Eevee, or Eve, whichever one from Stellar Blade 1. That Emma right there running looks just like her. Near Automata, whatever it's called, rip off, copy and paste. I just find that very interesting that you get a distinct review, a distinct look at the game from the Pokemon camp going to play this game because it's Game Freak, and people who seem to have no association. And I understand what's going on. Have I put any major hours into this game? No. Me personally, I have not. But I can see what's happening. The Pokemon fanboys, I'm included in that, have been dealing with Scarlet and Violet coming out looking like trash. We've been dealing with, and I didn't think it was a big deal, the trees in Sword and Shield looking like trash. We've been having to deal with subpar stories, which in my opinion Pokemon ain't about the story, but I can see the point that the Pokemon fans make. We've been dealing with very, very low tier graphics for a long time. Even on the, I have a couple of videos about it myself. Oh, black and white, they put so much love into it, but they made, the DS also had Super Mario Brothers DS, which, looks like it came straight off the Wii onto the DS. 3D looking graphics, even, and this ain't the 3DS I'm referring to. So, in my opinion, Pokemon graphics have always been behind. So we've always dealt with that as a fandom. We've always dealt with stories half-baked ideas, And I don't necessarily agree with all these points I'm pointing out there. It's just the overall fandom's perspective. Half-baked graphics, undercooked graphics, half-baked stories, uninspired games. And then people from the Pokemon camp play this, what I'm showing you on the screen, and they're in awe that Gamefreak could even fathom to put a game out like this. That they can even, like, is this the same company? That's what I keep hearing. This is the same company that makes Pokemon? I can't believe it. I can't believe it. And then, as I was saying, you got, other regular reviewers just dog walking the game, calling it AI slop, calling it Stellar Blade copy and paste, calling it Nier Automata ripoff. And I just think that this is just so... Game Freak, Pokemon, and Nintendo have starved the Pokemon fans for so long. I get Pokopia is getting great reviews, but it's not a mainline game. Pokken Tournament had great reviews. It's not a mainline game. Even Legends ZA, which I loved, even Legends ZA got dog walked through the mud. Pokemon fans aren't getting nothing that looks half as good as this. Imagine if this was Pokemon, however. Imagine if you could do all, if that was a vine whipping Bulbasaur you were jumping off of just now. I guess my point is, Game Freak really don't know what they're doing no matter what. Just because all the Pokemon, and like I said, I haven't put 150 plus hours into this game. I haven't put no time, real time into this game. So I can't sit here and say with 100% certainty if the story in this game's trash, if the gameplay's trash. I can't say that. But what I can say is, it just seems like no matter which way Game Freak ventures out, they're middle of the roading it. Middle of the roading it. My busters. And it's just not good enough. When are they gonna put their all into it? I even read somewhere that this game is basically just a couple of Game Freak developers that are trying to get released from the company that they decided to let off the leash a little. So this game don't even really have a bunch of, according to this one resource, don't even have a bunch of people working on it. Regular reviewers are calling this game uninspired, AI slop. They're calling this game numerous things, but the Pokemon camp, is saying great things about it. And I get it. Why can't a Pokemon game look like this? Well, that is a good question. Why can't the Switch 2 should be powerful enough for this game? If Stellar Blade 1 is coming to the Switch 2, if a couple of the Final Fantasy remakes are coming to the Switch 2, Cyberpunk is on the Switch 2, why can't Pokemon make a game where it doesn't come out and it looks like it's worse than GameCube graphics? Like Super Mario 64 in some aspects looks better than Scarlet and Violet on the Switch 1. Now I get that's the Switch 1. That's no excuse. And just because Game Freak put a game out that's specifically made for the Xbox or PlayStation 5 or even PC, I'm not going to give them a pass either. I'm not going to sit here and give them the benefit of the doubt. Look at what they can do when they're finally freed of their shackles. Dude, you don't have to be freed from your shackles to put out a good looking graphic a graphically good looking game. Look at Breath of the Wild. Look at Mario Odyssey. All Switch 1 titles. Look at Mario Kart even. Matter of fact, look at some of the spin-offs of Pokemon. New Pokemon Snap looks better than any mainline game on the Switch 1. And I just don't understand it. I don't understand. I don't understand. Even some of the trailers I've seen for Winds and Waves, they probably could have made a game that graphically good on the Switch 1. What are they so far behind for? What are they so far behind for that even regular reviewers can't get behind this game? I've heard someone else say this is the perfect Xbox Game Pass game. Do not go out of your way to spend full money on this title. And like I'll reiterate this point. Me, myself, I haven't put in the man hours that other people have. But if 9 times out of 10, I know there's always an exception. 9 times out of 10, Busters, if everyone's saying the same thing about you, it's probably true. And most reviewers I see are dog walking this game through the mud, players. And I'm just sick and tired of giving Gamefreak a pass. When Winds and Waves releases, if it's not top tier graphically, if it doesn't even compete with Breath of the Wild, if it doesn't even compete with Odyssey, if it doesn't even compete with Switch 1 titles, heck, Donkey Kong Country Returns on the Switch 1 looks better than Scarlet and Violet, looks better than Arceus in some aspects. And that shouldn't be the case. This is like number 1 or 2 grossing media franchise of all time. And I know a lot of that's to do with the cards, but why don't they invest some of that money into Square Enix to come make a game? Why can't they invest some of that money just to hire new, better developers? Why can't they invest some of that money? This is the core. The games are the core. This is where the new Pokemon come out. This is where the new story comes out. I get the anime does it too, but no one watches the anime. No one's watched the anime for 20 years. This is where things come to ride or die in the games. And how many times, and I get it, Scarlet and Violet is like number 2, together, Scarlet and Violet together sold like 23 million copies. They passed up Gold and Silver, which was also passed up by Sword and Shield. That doesn't mean, and I even have videos of where I discussed that these games can't be that bad, but that doesn't mean they're that good. Just because it's Pokemon, it's gonna sell. This is geared for kids, bro. I know we're all adults here. But Pokemon's geared for the 7 to 13-year-old, if that. That's no excuse. Because just because something, and okay, you can take what I'm about to say with a grain of salt in most ways. Because, I'm not with the My Little Pony crowd, right? But just because of something is geared for kids, one, know your fan base. This is mainly I feel like this is more adults playing this than anything. 1. 2, just because something's geared for kids doesn't mean you get to, a 7-year-old doesn't care about the graphics. Like, come on, bro. I flipped my stance on this slightly. I'm not saying graphics are end-all be-all, Busters, but I don't believe that they were let off the leash for this game. Because I've seen some of the, further into the story, I've seen some of the cutscenes. And the cutscenes are Robotnik in a way. Like, the character has to sit still, move their head up a little, and then they get to talking. There's no dynamics. It's not a dynamic cutscene. They look good, but it's not dynamic. It's Robotnik. And I'm not talking no Sonic Busters. In conclusion, I would recommend people, if you like Gamefreak, if you appreciate Pokemon, I would check this game out just to see their other thoughts and ideas. At the same time, be honest with yourself. Just because this looks better than any Pokemon game that's come out in the last 30 years, that don't mean it's a good game. And that don't mean we should all of a sudden give Game Freak the pass that they so desperately think they deserve bust bags.